Hello guys, I hope wherever you're watching us from you are having a great time. This is AfriPost and welcome to today's video. Now for many years, Africa has been regarded as a continent of poor countries, a continent that is populated by people who are less worthy of being regarded as human beings, because if you look at how our countries in Africa have been portrayed by the Western education system, we are called third world countries and countries that are not rich in any way. In fact, they want everybody to believe that Africa does not have anything of value that it can offer to the world. But in recent years, many African scholars have come out to disapprove Western idea of Africa, and they are coming to write their own story. Just as it has been said in the saying that until the lion knows how to write, the story of the jungle will always praise the hunter. And for many years, the story of Africa has been told by whites, it has been told by Europeans, and it has been told by Americans. Yet, we as Africans have not been allowed to project our ideas to the global space. And this is something that is changing, and I really appreciate the scholars that are coming in to really change the story of Africa. In today's video, I want us to talk about one Dr. Kihura Nkuba. This is classical African history scholar and lecturer. He's been speaking about the origin of humanity and the role black race has been playing in this world since the inception of the world as we know it. I want us to listen to this speech and then react to it at the end. Let's watch.
But I know you have not heard about this information. Why? Because when white people colonized the world, they also colonized the information about the world. So white people hid the information about yourself. They didn't want to tell you you were a great person. Let me give you examples of something that you know. You've all read about the Bible, haven't you? Yeah? Now, who wrote the first 5 books of the Bible? Who can tell me? Who wrote the first 5 books of the Bible? Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible. We don't know his second name. You know, he had only one name. Unlike you, who have 2 English names and 1 Langi name. What is your name? John James Okecho. Where did you get John from? My parents. Were your parents English? No. Were they Scottish? No. What about your grandmother? No. And your grandfather? No. So where did you get John from? I don't know. Do you have a grandfather? Yes. Did he have a long name? Yes. Why are you not named after his name? I don't know. What does the word John mean? I don't know. Maybe it means a saint somewhere. But for a start, I want to excite you in this word called melanin. Melanin. Who knows this word? Who of you knows melanin? You haven't started learning, particularly if you're a black person, unless you know what melanin is. Melanin is a carbon that does not deteriorate over time. Melanin is your black skin pigmentation. Or in plants, it is equivalent to chlorophyll. But it is the most powerful thing that you can have. In terms of people, we gauge your importance on the amount of melanin you have. So we say the darker the better. The darker, the better. Now, this melanin is responsible for a lot of things, and I want you to write them down. I hope you have where to write, students. Number 1, it protects you against the ultraviolet rays of the sun and the energy from the earth. So, when the sun hits your body, certain rays are allowed in, certain rays are filtered out. It stops you getting skin cancer. Then it protects you against the energy from the earth, which means if you are standing, it anchors you. Like in electricity, you have earthing. Yeah? When something is earthed, it's not hit by lightning. You know that. So, if you are standing here with a white person and lightning struck, it would pick a white person, throw him there, you would remain standing tall, blessed of the sun, because of your melanin. So, number 1, protects you against the ultraviolet rays of the sun. Number 2, protects you against the energy from the earth. It anchors you. Number 3, melanin is responsible for healing. When you cut yourself, if you cut yourself, you see blood, you see something red, there may be white, And when it starts healing, a dark skin comes and covers it, or a dark patch comes and covers it. That dark patch is melanin. Melanin sends reinforcement around the area that is affected and brings about healing. So melanin is also responsible for healing. Melanin is responsible for a sleeping cycle, how you sleep. If you don't have melanin, you don't sleep properly. You have what they call insomnia. Melanin controls fatigue. So you are not tired most of the time. So other people who don't have melanin, they have fatigue. If they travel in a plane, they get what they call jet lag. Then melanin is also responsible for something else, what we call a corresponding cosmic connection. It links you to the universe. You begin feeling something. You feel energy pulses. There is a lot of energy that is here that you don't see. Energy you don't see, but you can harness it. For example, if somebody calls you on phone, you don't see the sound traveling in the air, but it comes to your phone. So there is a ultraviolet, ultra high frequency signal that comes to your telephone. Are you with me? So, for example, one way you can test a corresponding cosmic connection is when a black person hears a music pulse, a sound pulse, an energy sound. So if I say na 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 na, oh Africa, Africa, na 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 na, oh Africa, straight away you feel the rhythm. Even before you hear it pulsate through your veins. If it was a white person, they wouldn't feel the rhythm. And if they started dancing, they would be jumping up like this, and then they would do this, and they would not move in tandem with the rhythm because they don't have melanin. They do not have that corresponding cosmic connection. The corresponding cosmic connection also means that you could be seated here and something happens to you, and your mother at home will see a leaf fall from a tree, and you will say, there's something wrong with my son. Or you could be going somewhere and you see a rat cross the road. You say, this is not a good thing. So that nature works with you, not against you, to warn you, you are at harmony with nature. So that's another thing that melanin does. Protects you against the ultraviolet rays of the sun, the energy from the earth. Melanin controls healing. Melanin controls fatigue. Melanin gives you a corresponding cosmic connection. But melanin also does something else. Melanin gives you dominant genes. Dominant genes. Now, you know the science of genetics. Yeah? You know genetics, genes. That science started around 1822 with a gentleman called Gregor Mendel. Gregor Mendel was an Austrian from Austria, and he was a Catholic priest from the Augustine monks. He was an Augustine monk. Augustine lived around the 2nd, 3rd, 4th century AD, and he was the black person who lived in North Africa in a place called Hippo Regius, who wrote the laws of the Catholic Church. Because most of you think that, white people brought religion and they, and they taught you how to read and write. That's all not true. That's what we call his story, the white man's side of the story. It's not our story. It's not true. So I am just telling you that Augustine of Hippo was this bishop who wrote the laws of the Catholic Church. Now, the followers of Augustine are called Augustinian monks. And one of the Augustinian monks was Gregory Mendel, who lived in Austria around 1822. And in Austria, he was looking at genes, because at that time, white people were wondering where humanity started. Who are the first people to populate the world? And they thought that white people were the first people to populate the world. And at the time, Christianity was very heavy in Europe. It's not the same now. If you go in a church in England, you will probably find about 2 or 3 people, the priest and his assistant and maybe one other person, unless it's Christmas. So they were first looking in Europe. Then they couldn't find, the oldest they could go was 40,000 years. Then they went to Asia, the oldest they could go was 900,000 years. And then they came to Africa. And the oldest they could go in Africa was about 1.5 million years. So, Mendel wanted to find out, using genes, inherited characteristics. Because you know, when a man meets a woman, in Africa we say you have a spiritual congress. European people say you have sex. In Africa we don't have sex. We don't even have a word for it. We call it a spiritual congress. But when a man meets a woman, they exchange first genes. And the first genes they exchange is called nuclear DNA. And you share, almost equal sequence that sit on your chromosome. So you have a certain equal percentage from the male and the female. But there is a certain gene that the mother passes on to the child without going through the filtration process. That is called mitochondria DNA. Mitochondria DNA. Sometimes it's written like this. Mitochondria DNA. That one the mother passes to the child without going through filtration process. The father doesn't contribute to that DNA. So if we want to find out who is your father, we will just look at your mitochondria DNA. But the inherited characteristics pass through from the nuclear DNA. So Mendel was looking at these characteristics, and he was looking at plants to see what does a father plant give to a child plant. What does a mother plant give to a child plant? And then he went to animals. And Mendel concluded that if you began with white people, you would you'd never have got black people. Because white people have what they call recessive genes. Do you study that? You study recessive genes? You also study dominant genes. You study that? Now, if you study recessive genes and dominant genes, you know that a recessive can never produce a what? A recessive can never produce a dominant. But a dominant can do what? Very good, very good. Some of your fees, went for a good cause. Huh? If you know recessive genes, you can never stay away from that. Recessive genes. No two white cats can produce a black cat. No two white goats can produce a black goat. No two white cows can produce a black cow. No two white chickens can produce a white chicken. And no two albinos, no two white people can produce a black person. Why? Because black is dominant and white is recessive. Which means what? It means you produced white people. If you had begun with white people, if Adam and Eve had been a white person, you would not be here. It means that you, who has melanin is the most incredible, most powerful thing that you can have. You have no idea what melanin is, what being black means, what having black skin is. White people today, that's why I said go and look for this, melatonin. You will find thousands and thousands of products made out of melatonin. White people inject their lips to have fresh lips, like a black woman's or a black man's. Because white people have no lips. Their lips are almost like this. You know that. Those of you have seen white people. They are cut short. There wasn't enough material. But for you, being the first person, you utilize all the material to make yourself into a full person. Yeah? White people are injecting their breasts to have full breasts like a black woman. Because most of white people don't have, they have like flat chest. You sometimes see, is it a man? And now they wear trousers. Say, a man or woman? And because of plastic, they also have beards. So you don't know whether you're really dealing with a man. But quite significantly, white women are injecting their behind with melatonin so that they can have what they call steatopedia, the unusual accumulation of fat on the black woman's behind. Whereas white women have what we call ironing board backside, you know, completely flat. There is nothing there. Yeah? So there is nothing more beautiful than being a black person. Nothing more powerful than being a black person. There is nothing more beautiful. Listen to me. White people, you know, most of the time, as black people, we hate ourselves. And unless we deal with that hatred amongst black people, we cannot achieve anything. You can't become a scientist, you can't become a historian, you can't become successful, you can become only successful to a limit, where everybody is trying to put you down. But why do we hate ourselves? Because we were told in the Bible that we were cursed. Haven't you heard that? The curse of Ham? That we were cursed as the sons of Ham. And yet, cursed in the Bible, Noah, who was a drunkard, cursed Canaan. He didn't curse, he cursed one son of black people, but not all, because Noah was also a black person, according to the Bible. And, you know, hopefully we'll come, you know, and cover this. So, we hate ourselves. And even in everyday language, if I want to cheat you, I blackmail you. If I want to put you on a bad list, I blacklist you. In a what book? In a black book. Haven't you heard that? That will put you in a black book. Teachers used to have black books. Do they still have them? Yeah? Change their name. Call them white books or, you know, danger books. Now, if it is a bad spot on the road, it is called a what spot on the road? A black spot. If it is a bad trading day, it is called a black day. If it is in a legal market, it is called a what market? A black market. Which means if there are black people in the market, then the market is illegal. You are not supposed to trade. Yeah? As long as you see black people, it's illegal. You know? So we wear black for funerals. And when we wear mosquito nets for weddings, what color are they? Hey, you have not seen the wedding dresses. What do you think they make them out of? Mosquito net, except there are many of them piled together. So stay away from them when you get married. Huh? Don't go and get a mosquito net and then they have a long one so that when it's walking, it keeps cleaning the street. Yeah? I don't know why they do such a thing. So, when you wear white for weddings and you wear what color for funerals? Black. Now, in your homes, the pictures of God that you have is what color? Be honest. Tell the truth and shame the white man. What color are the pictures on the wall in your homes? White. And what color then is the devil? So if I kill all of you, I have fought the devil, won't I? Is that not, doesn't it make sense? If I am a Christian, and they say onward Christian soldiers, if I am a soldier of Christ, my job is to fight the devil. What does the devil look like? Isn't it black? When you go in a military college, the sabao, when you are learning how to shoot, the target practice is what kind of head? It's a black head. So it is no wonder that black people hate themselves. Because every time you see God, you are not thinking of your sister or your mother or your uncle. You are not thinking of Kihura Nkuba as looking like God. No. You are thinking that somebody else, not you, looks like God and you look like the devil. And most of the time, if I look like the devil, I am told I'm a devil, then I act like a devil. I don't want to disappoint people. People thinking that, I'm a wonderful person. Let me try to live up to the part. That's what psychology says. But I'm here to tell you today, number one, that when God created the world, there were no white people at all. There were no Chinese. There were no Indians. There were no Italians, no Romans, no Germans, no Poles, no Finns, no Swedes, no Goths, no Vandals, no Visigoths, no Vikings. They were only black people. Only black people. They were probably at the time darker than you. So, if you read any sacred text and it says that you were created in the image of God and in the likeness of God, it means God is what color? Black. And anytime anybody gives you a God who doesn't look like you, you give him that God back. You say, you know what? Yeah, your God looks okay, but just take him. Because at the dawn of time, there were no other people on earth but us. None. And you know the most interesting story is that story unfolded around this river that passes through your district. The Nile. That is where humanity began. To the extent that UNESCO, United Nations Educational Scientific Committee Organization, in volume 2, chapter 1, it says, as a result of the work of Professor Like and other subsequent work, it leads us to conclude that more than 150,000 years ago, beings morphologically identical with the man of today were living in the area of the Great Lakes, at the foothills of the mountains of the moon, at the source of the Nile, in the land of the gods, and nowhere else. UNESCO, nowhere else. Humanity went through 5 stages. The first stages are known as Australopithecine, black. Where were they living? Where you are living. How old? How long ago? 5.5 million years ago. Who was living in Europe at that time? No one. Who was living in Asia at that time? No one. Who was living in America North? None. America South? None. Bismarck Archipelago? No one. Australia? Tonga? None. Haiti, Fiji, Samoa, who was living there? No one. Humanity was only here. 3.5 million years ago, Homo habilis. Where was he living? Here. Was he living elsewhere? No. 1.5 million years. Humanity at the stage of Homo erectus, the African that walks upright. Where is he living? Here. He lives here to populate the world. He passes through the Gulf of Eden, avoids Saudi Arabia, crosses into India. And then he goes through Kenya, Mijikenda, Tayari in Australia, and populates all the islands in between. Avoids Israel, avoids Jordan, avoids Syria. He also discovers fire. Then 150,000 years, modern man, known as Homo sapien. Homo sapien. The oldest Homo sapien, the bones discovered in Omo Valley in Ethiopia and Kenya. He started where? Here. Then he moves with his feet and his cows, mobile food, and his language, articulated symbolic language, and his brain, a bigger cranium, and he populates Europe. He is the first person to populate Europe about 40,000 years ago, known as Gromordi. The first people to populate Europe were black people. They were known as Gromordi. First people to populate England were black people. They were known as Bika. First people to populate India were black people. They were known as Dravidians. First people to populate Japan, black people. They were known as Masaba Negroes. Mulembe, Kamaku, Wagasile, they came from here. They populated Japan. That's why Japanese names are like Ugandan names. Takahara, Nakamura, Kato, Toyota, all those, because the first Japanese were black people. In ancient time, the whole world belonged to the black man, the black woman. You are the people that populated the world. You are the people that gave birth to everybody else. And quite significantly, and I am telling you this as a scholar, I have a library of 32,000 books. I have read each one of them, not only read them, but remember them. I have traveled in almost every corner of the world, lectured at the most prestigious universities. I am telling you that in ancient time, the ordinary people who are on earth were you and your ancestors. You. And you are also the people of the scriptures. All scripture, be it the Rigvit Veda, the Namapali, the Peramperu, the Papyrus of Ani, the Papyrus of Hunefa, the Quran, the Bible, the Book of Zoroaster, the Epic of Gilgamesh, is all about black people. Black people.
Now, from that clip, I think for me as an African, it really opens my eyes. And I think my perception about Africa and black people is totally changed. I like the fact that Dr. Nkuba says that when the colonizer came to Africa, their main intention was not only to colonize us as a people and take our natural resources, but they also colonized information. And that is why the information that is released for black people about themselves is always that which really demeans them, that which does not really put them in the position that they are. There are many things that he says there. In fact, he also highlights the fact that most of blacks are always taking up names of white people, not understanding their meaning, not understanding where they are coming from, yet they embrace them and they use them here and there. And this is something that he says should change. And Africans and the black people must understand that the melanin that they have is a superior thing that they must appreciate and understand that they are superior than others. I guess this is why some of writers have always referred to Dr. Nkuba as a black supremacist, somebody who really speaks of blacks highly. And I think for some time, given the kind of challenges and persecutions that blacks have gone through, there is need for many black supremacists to come up and really highlight the importance of Africans and the importance of black people within this world. I don't know what you think about this topic. Please, if you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and also share. Please also remember to give us your opinion down in the comment section so that we may also understand your perception about the topic there. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless you. Goodbye.